face Jose, the next stop on this Longhorn postseason saga.
Ooh, the Craig Way call is a beautiful thing. That's why he's the voice of the Longhorns, folks. Nobody does it better. Beautiful call, and yes, the women and the men still dancing. Longhorns, the men headed to the Sweet 16. We all talk about that and break it down, of course. But of course, everything you guys want to talk about, throw it out there. Questions, comments. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time. We will talk football. I already know it's spring football going on. You got pro day coming up. Actually, this week on Tuesday, big day. I mean, you might as well call it Ethan Burke Day. That's what I'm gonna call it.
It's Ethan Burke Day.
Ethan Burke Day, because no other human being out
Jalen
there.
Gilbo? Is it Jalen Gilbo Day?
It could be, because he got invited to the combine. He had a chance. And
that is Ethan Burke Day. It's Ethan Burke Day.
He might have had an injury or something. So I don't know, Gilbo. I would say that I don't know what Gilbo had going on, but he did not run the 40 at the combine. He got invited though. Man, Ethan Burke got this chip on his shoulder right now because I know he feels disrespected. He should, but not get invited to the combine. Like, come on, man. Y'all didn't want to look at me. Watch me put on the show, and Tuesday will be the day for him. But great call by Seaway. Great run to the ladies. Shout out to the ladies who won. Just speaking of dancing, they danced all on top of Oregon and beat them 100-58. Shout out to Madison Booker. That was I believe the most points scored by any player in the women's tournament so far. 40. She had 48 and 5. But the men in the Sweet 16 definitely is the big story right now. Jerry, we got to talk about a little bit. We'll get to football. I promise you. I got some football questions. We'll get to it. But because I believe they're the only double-digit seed that's going to be in the Sweet 16. Yes. So some people out there want to say this is the Cinderella story of the tournament. It's the Longhorns. And there is a kind of another group of college basketball fans or sports fans that are saying Texas can never be a Cinderella because it's Texas, no matter what the situation or sport. What do you stand on Texas and their Cinderella? Are they dancing in the glass slipper, or is it just Texas being a big dog now, just finally finding their form?
Here's the one thing I would say. I just push back on the people that says this is a Cinderella. Sean Miller doesn't coach Cinderellas. I mean, he's never a Cinderella. Sean Miller is now 9-1 in round of 32 games.
That's wild.
He lost his first one. He's won the next 9. He has the highest win percentage in round of 32 games since the tournament field got bigger in 1975. Number 2 is Coach K, and number 3 is Bobby Knight. Obviously, Sean Miller is not that level coach to those guys. Next 10, 12 years hold for him if he becomes a Hall of Fame basketball coach. But Sean Miller coach team can't be a Cinderella just for the standpoint that he's 25-13 in the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
He's one of the winningest active coaches. I mean, he's 4 Elite Eights, now 9 Sweet 16s and 14 tournament appearances. Any team he coaches can't be a Cinderella. Any team Rick Pitino coaches to Elite Eight can't be a surprise. I mean, it's just two in the same on a different level. Yeah, I mean, I get what people are going with it because the tournament does need a Cinderella. They need the headlines. They need the thought of it. But here's the thing about this tournament, I would say we don't need Cinderellas. This weekend has been, starting with the first 4 games, has been unbelievable basketball. All these games today, right now, Tennessee and Virginia, 72-71, 50 seconds to go. This is a big one for my bracket, by the way, so I'm kind of side-eyeing. You think about all these games, St. John's winning on a layup right at the buzzer. Cam Heidi's shot. Tremont Marks against NC State. Miami of Ohio, absolutely what they did in the first 4 captivated people. Nebraska's fan base. That Vandy-Nebraska game was unstinking believable. A 55-footer was halfway down and came out to win the game. I mean, this tournament this weekend, I'm guessing the ratings may be the highest they've ever been or in a while for the round of 64 and 32 games. It wouldn't shock me if that wasn't the case. But congrats to Sean Miller, the Texas Longhorns. They will play Thursday in the first game of the Sweet 16 in San Jose. The tip time hasn't come out. For those that haven't seen, the line open. Purdue is an 8.5-point favorite. 147.5 is your over-under. but Purdue starts as an 8.5-point favorite, and this will be the best team Texas has played in the NCAA tournament. There's no doubt. They're going to be favored for a reason. They won the Big Ten tournament. And if people haven't watched the NCAA tournament, the top 4 or 5 teams from the Big Ten are amazingly good. So anytime you finish in that top 5 and then you win the Big Ten tournament, you're a really, really good basketball team. They're favored for a reason. Now let's go see if they can do it. Let's go see if Texas can do it one more time. But this will be the best team they've played in the NCAA tournament. They make no mistake.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's not a great matchup for Texas, but Texas, I don't know if you can't be the Cinderella, the underdog. You can milk that all the time because you've been, an underdog in these games and still been able to come up clutch. But I think for this team, at least they're the team that nobody wants to play.
Yeah.
At least you became that team. You may be the hottest team in the tournament right now. You got that kind of momentum. Yeah. And they got so many guys that are playing, they're coming up clutch, big plays in big moments, and are just playing some of their best basketball. When you're talking about Matas, you're talking about Pope and Weaver. I mean, obviously Swain's your star, but man, Heidi had a big shot. I mean, they're playing their best basketball at the right time. Now, whether that's another different discussion.
Yeah, I mean I gotta correct one guy real quick though. It happens every show. Snappercut said you said Texas will lose. Nope, check my bracket. I had them winning. I think maybe you listened to me saying BYU's the favorite. Here's why they're favored. They're the better team. I talk about that just like I did this game. These people are favored over Texas for a reason. Now I did pick Purdue to beat Texas on my bracket. So if Texas wins, I will come back and say that was the case, but that was not the case. I had Texas to win that game over Gonzaga in my bracket. But yeah, I mean, look, Texas is they're playing really, really well. I mean, look, they had some fortune. People have to have fortune too. And you have to take advantage of fortune. I mean, Richie Saunders, you can't control injuries. Braden Huff, you can't control injuries. But what you can do is take advantage of those teams. Obviously, Gonzaga is a different team if Braden Huff's healthy, but he's not. And Texas knew that going in. But what they did, here's a similarity between Gonzaga and Purdue, other than Purdue's a better basketball team. Neither one are ball pressure defensive teams. Mm-hmm. That's who I like for Texas to play. This team, I'm just looking all at matchups. Those are teams I like to see Texas matched up against. Purdue's tremendous offensive team, tremendous offensive coach. Somebody asked about Braden Smith earlier. You have to guard the zoom action against Purdue with Braden Smith and Fletcher Loyer. Those are 2 of your big keys. And your third key is Kaufman Wren, the really good 4-man who's a power player. He's not power to the rim, but he's power in his base. You have to be able to push him out to 10 to 12 feet. He's got this little half jump hook push shot that he makes about 70%. You don't want him catching it at 6 or 7 feet. Then it becomes an automatic over the top. Another big key in this game for Texas, how many minutes can they play Matas and Cody together and keep those guys out of foul trouble? Because I think Texas liked what they saw against Gonzaga since the game kind of slowed down for Cody and he started making the right plays and wasn't as rushed. But in order to do that, Matas has to stay out of foul trouble. But I think they want to play those guys a little bit more together against the Purdue. And we'll see where the foul situation goes in that game. But I can tell you right now, that's what Texas wants to do against Purdue.
All right. Good stuff, Jared. Appreciate it. All right, we got a super chat, and then we'll dive into some other topics here. But Freelance Society, good to hear from you, Freelance Society. Keep up the great work. You're doing real journalism. All right. It says, thank you for the super chat. It says, I take Rhett Bomar over Baker Mayfield on that ESPN QB list. Probably would have been pretty good if he didn't get in trouble. What do you guys know about Richard Wesley? I had not looked. Is this like that since 2000 quarterback list?
Yeah. It was an amazing list, Rod.
Y'all
need to bring it up on the night show this week for giggles and the chat.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield was number 1. Cam Newton was 2. VY was 3, and Tim Tebow was 4. And my only argument as an Oklahoma fan had they've written the list, but I mean, let's get real, people.
I mean, I'll say that the Cam Newton thing. I'm always big on the Cam Newton season just because how good they were when he was there and how bad they were before and after he left.
Yeah,
and he did it with that offense. Did not have a lot of NFL draft picks, and I mean that's so. When they put Cam Newton really high up there, I get it above VY. I'm not going to argue with that because that season was really impressive. You got to go look at how much he only played with like 2 NFL players on the entire offense.
Yeah.
Other than him. Like that's amazing. Like that, VY had more talent around him than that. So that Cam Newton season to me was pretty freaky. But the Baker Mayfield thing, the longevity of it though. I mean, wasn't he a finalist for the Heisman multiple times?
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard.
You could then argue that Kyler Murray was actually better than he was.
For the one season though, that's why I said they're doing longevity over time. CB, we have been. Me and CB went back and forth over the Cam Newton thing. Listen, I wasn't saying that Cam Newton's better, but that one season, I think it was just as impressive as VY's season, if not more. I'm telling you, it was hard. It's hard to do without a lot of NFL talent around you.
You know what else is crazy about that list, Rod?
And to beat Nick Saban. That was impressive.
You know what else is crazy about that list? Urban Meyer signed 2 and 4. Cam Newton was at with Tebow before he got kicked off the team
for the laptop incident, whatever that was.
You want to talk about a wow?
Yeah. That's a good point. You think about that's one of those great what ifs. I always keep talking we should do some what ifs shows, like what ifs. That's one of those great what ifs. What if Cam Newton just stays there at Florida? That I mean, whatever it is. That's the history of college football is probably very different randomly. Yeah, I don't know how it looks, but it's probably very different. Okay, let's we'll get to some more questions. Let's thank our lead sponsor really quick before we move on. Let's thank our friends over at Rogue Shop really quickly. We appreciate them and all of their support of On Texas football. RogueShop.com, folks. Use that discount code. You see it right there on your screen, On Texas, and you'll get a very special discount from our friends over at Rogue Shop, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. They have it all from oils and creams to flour, gummies, vitamins. If you're dealing with anxiety, aches and pains from battling Father Time, maybe from your playing days, or maybe you're dealing with sleep deprivation, you can't get a good night's sleep, our friends over at Rogue Shop, they have so many great items that can help you overcome those ailments successfully and deal with them successfully. So just check them out today. They ship nationwide, no matter where you are in this great country of ours. Our friends over at Rogue Shop can get their fantastic products to you. That's RogueShop.com. And don't forget to use that discount code On Texas. All right, I got a question randomly for you. I threw this out there. I don't know, we talked about this a while ago, like, what major of the big 3 major men's sports, revenue generating sports, who at Texas going to win the national championship first? Do you, I know Sean Miller was his first season, so you're like, man, you got to, give him some, but now, can I just throw it out there? Just say who y'all think you should? I know Sark obviously should do it, but Sark's in the toughest sport to do it, and it should be there because now he's got the program right where it needs to be, peaking at the right time. But hey, one of these, Sean Miller or Schloss could do it in the next 2 years, and I wouldn't be shocked. I think Schloss has got the program. The number 2? What are they?
Yeah, and they won the series against Auburn after a rough ending on game 1, almost the same on game 2, but came back and won today. I would say this. I think basketball is the toughest to win it because you got to win 6 games in a row. And you got to I think basketball is the toughest to win.
Really? Football is not pretty tough with the playoffs.
Football, you got to win 3
now
or 4.
You got to beat like 4 good teams.
Yeah.
To get there. You know what I mean? You have to beat some good teams to get there because so football is tougher, but you're right. Ain't nothing like March Madness. Ain't nothing like the tournament. I mean, that's crazy.
But baseball. None of these are easy though. I mean, you got regional, super regional, college World Series. I mean, these are all difficult now that we have playoffs and everything, right? I'll say that saying this is the best chance. This is the best look Sark may have.
This is definitely
close. It's close.
I think it is. It's got to be.
running back injuries, the year they lost to Washington, Jonathan Brooks injury, they play Michigan for a title game if they're healthy at running back. Then you see what happens, right? You know, I think this year this is going to be the most buildup probably that they've had. Maybe the Quinn's final year. I think with I'll tell you with basketball, I'll say this. Texas will do whatever it takes to keep Matas. Just know that. If Dalen Swain doesn't get a first round guarantee, which I think is possible, but not 100% because this is the deepest NBA first round of a draft in a while. I mean, this is a great draft. Like if this was his season last year, he's top 23 in the draft. He's gone. It's not even a question. 27 draft, not as good. If he doesn't get a guarantee, if they could find a way to get him back a year, I mean, they're going to be damn good next year in basketball. If that happened with Austin Gooseby, Bo Ogden is a really good role player year one. What else I think they'll do in the portal? If Swain came back, watch out in basketball, man. I'm just telling you, but it's hard to go. You could have a better team next year and get in a 3-14 game and get upset, or a 4-13 game and get upset. We see it every year. Mm-hmm. You know, the 1, 2, 3s did not get upset this year. 4, Wisconsin did, but it happens. It's happened many times, so it's not a guarantee. You know, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. I think all three. If Texas gets Swain back, next year is going to be pretty interesting on the 40 between football, baseball, and basketball.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like I said, you might be at one of those. I mean, I would say golden eras, but hell, in other sports, other than those big three, you have been winning championships. But I mean, you're close. Hell, Vic Schaefer's group, 158.
Little news coming out here too. So Rick Barnes, Uncle Rick, on to another Sweet 16 at Tennessee, beating Virginia. By the way, the ACC was not a great league this year. Something to watch without Caleb Foster for Duke. But that means Ryan Odom's out for Virginia. Of all the first-year coaches at their schools that made the NCAA tournament, the only one standing is Sean Miller. So we talked about how these NCAA tournaments are not a given for first-year coaches, and they're still not a given. Half of the high major guys made it. Half of them did not. But Sean Miller is now – well, we'll see what Iowa. Ben McCallum still has a shot. They're playing well against Florida. But as of right now, Sean Miller is the only one that has advanced to the Sweet 16, and that's some really good young coaches and some good coaches. So we'll see what Florida's not playing well right now. They're down 44-37 with under 16 timeout in the second half.
Yeah. All right. Now, good stuff there. Let me ask you this really quick before we move on, because before we start talking some football, there's a theory that the Cinderellas are dying, period. That's why they want to kind of project and paint Texas as a Cinderella. They're no true. The true Cinderellas may be dying because of the modern age of college sports, right? NIL, rev share, that you don't have the guys that essentially, I think the gist of the theory is that in scouting, whatever, you can't get all the gems. Like some gonna fall through the cracks. And the ones that used to fall through the cracks in college basketball, they would go lots of the mid majors. They just fall right there, and they would stay there and develop. And then you get these miracle runs, upsets by mid majors a lot more because they'd have these stars. They had more stars, more talent. Yeah. And now that talent, they stay there for a year or two.
Yeah.
And then they go to the higher level where they can get paid. And so the 13, 14, 15, 16 seeds, who usually would be able to steal 1 or 2 games in the tournaments and at least start the discussion about a Cinderella, you haven't had that the last 2 years,
right?
Because they don't have enough talent. They don't have the stars. The stars don't stay.
Yeah. I think there's some truth in that. Look, I mean, Ben McCallum's a great young coach. Won at Drake last year in the tournament. But I do think it's getting tougher. I think what's going to be so interesting, football, you pretty much know from a rev share standpoint, in NIL, kind of what you can predict it. One thing with basketball that's interesting is if you're a non-football playing university, you get a pretty decent kick of rev share every year for NIL and basketball. So you think about and I'm going to get to some of the other schools, but you think about the St. John's and the UConn, even though they play football, they really don't. Providence, I think it's why you saw the South Florida coach go to Providence. They can make a pretty decent NIL commitment. So what point I'm going to get to with this is where I'm going to be interested to see in the next 3 or 4 years. I don't know, a High Point, who that guy's got it going. A Grand Canyon University, a couple of those 3 of those teams. Will they have enough rev share now to keep maybe one of their 2 best guys on those teams that are going to get cherry picked by high majors? Some kids just want to go play the high major experience, and who can blame them? If I could play in the Big Ten, SEC, or ACC, I probably would do it because that's what you dream of doing coming up as a young kid. But will these non-football playing schools have enough rev share to fight off maybe keeping one of their 2 best guys? Possibly. Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting in the future, but I do think right now we see where it's headed.
Yeah. Juan with a super chat, college basketball. Thank you, Juan. We appreciate that. Says, who do you think Carolina hires if they get rid of Davis? There are rumors on Todd Golden, Billy Donovan, and Nate Oates.
I don't think North Carolina. Yeah, I don't think Carolina will want Nate Oates baggage. So I'll talk cross him out. I heard 3 names today. Billy Donovan's a very interesting name. Todd Golden, Iowa State guy who's a tremendous basketball coach, and Tommy Lloyd. I think you'll see North Carolina target those guys. If Billy Donovan wants to come back, now that it's an NIL, I would be. I wonder if Billy would turn that down. But if I'm telling you right now, if I'm North Carolina, I'm paying Todd Golden $9-10 million because his teams look and play a lot like Roy Williams. I think he'd be a perfect fit for the Carolina fan base, and from a basketball playing and stylistic standpoint, that's probably the direction I would go if I was North Carolina if he has interest. All right. But here's somebody asked in the chat. Some people think Bill, and I'm not saying it. It's not my business. There are some whispers that Bill Self might hang it up. Now, that could be BS. I don't know. Is Mark Pope for sure going to get another year? I mean, that's a screwed up $21 million roster. They literally signed a guy from Arizona State that they should have known wasn't going to be able to play this year for $2 million. That guy paid a guy $2 million, scored 20 points this year because he had a severe knee injury at Arizona State. And they paid him $2 million. So, I mean, they totally flubbed the roster. At Kentucky, they haven't been to an Elite 8 in 6 years. That's like, I don't know, man. That's like whatever you want to call it in Lexington, Kentucky, state of Kentucky. It's as bad as it gets now. I mean, there's every moving company in the state of Kentucky is putting flyers on Mark Pope's doorstep right now. Because they want him fired and they want the business.
And they want the business, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, you're right about that. That's how it is in your blue blood, man, especially in college basketball. Ain't no doubt about that. Aloha Traveler. Got to get some love. Boom. Here we go. Boom. There it is. Woo. Aloha. That's how I know Aloha Traveler lives a beautiful life. It's always in a good mood and feeling gracious and kind. Thank you very much, Aloha Traveler. We really appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Says, Aloha, fellas, Sweet 16, assuming Matas returns with the high-level incoming freshman. Texas seemingly has a few scorers, but needs to add a few more and perhaps a talented big man. Will UT NIL now step up, in your opinion, to take this basketball team to the next level next year? Yeah, what is the NIL standing budget for Texas men's basketball? Is it in the same conversation with the powerhouse Blue Bloods?
No. I think it's the step. It can be the highest it'll ever be, as the step below. Now, what is the step below? People are thinking $4 or $5 million. I like Kentucky's way up here in the stratosphere. I think your Louisvilles, your Dukes, which you'll never know on them, private school. Couple in truth, if people throw numbers out, I don't think they're accurate from talking to people. I think you're 13 to 15 range for a lot of those tier ones, 12 to 15, whatever it is. I think you need to be at 10.5 or 11. And while that doesn't seem like a big difference, that's a difference from this year for Texas. If they get to 10.5 to 11, that's a difference in last year being able to bring Brian Conwell and Swain in together. I mean, so that's kind of what we're looking at, I think, is Texas just needs $1.5 million more only, but to get into that tier 2.5 range, tier 2 range. Look, the most expensive roster didn't win a national championship. Louisville, now Mikael Brown was hurt 2 years in a row. They go out early. I mean, so these guys aren't – it's just not, hey, just collect the talent. I mean, Kentucky made so many bad choices in theirs. I trust Sean Miller to make good choices. And I think Texas is going to be in a position to compete. Although I asked about a foreman, I do think Texas needs a big 4 that can shoot the basketball. From 3. That's a threat to shoot the basketball from 3. I mean, think about what Sean Miller said last night while he put Cam Heide in the game. And Heide's not a 4, he's a wing.
Yeah.
But he said the ability to put another 3-point shooter on the court. And I've said this going in the Gonzaga game. In Gonzaga, this isn't the normal Gonzaga team. This isn't when people saw Gonzaga in the record, I think, it's just just like all of Few's old teams. They're not that talented.
Yeah, it was.
They're not that talented as they were. But that offensive style that you used to see from Gonzaga from like 15 to 22, ideally that's what Sean Miller wants to play at Texas. But you got to get the pieces to do that. So we'll see what happens. But I think they'll have enough to compete. I will say that. They're not going to let Matas go. And we'll see what Swain does. And I think Swain can go in the first round. I think some people are missing the point on Swain. It's like, oh, he's not assertive enough. He's not scoring enough. That guy just played a great basketball game against Gonzaga. If he had forced a bunch of bad shots in that game, they lose. He makes the right play in basketball. He is going to be a really good role player in the NBA whenever that time comes. I think if people are looking at him, he needs to go score 20. He needs to go score 45. That's not who he is as a player. That's not how he's going to make his living in the NBA. He's going to make his living as a secondary or third playmaker from the wing, and a guy shots improved. He's 38.5% from 3 his last 22 games, I think it is. So he's improved a lot, but he's not going to be that level scorer in the league. That's not the way the NBA is looking at him. They're looking at his all-around game as a quality role player fitting with those high-end scorers and those guys that are going to score the basketball. That role play scenario for Dalen Swain can keep in the league 10 or 12 years. I mean, that's what they're looking at him as. And if you look at the end of these drafts, there are guys every year. Maybe this year is going to be tougher. I think there's 8 guys for about 4 spots, but there's drafts every year like last year. Powell from North Carolina went in the first round, like 26, 27, 28, something like that. He averaged 7 points per game. I think people look at this and say, oh, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. Liam McNeely went, 28th in the draft in the first round last year. Dalen Swain's a better basketball player than he is.
Yeah. But it's a deeper draft, too, like you were talking about.
This draft is crazy, Rod. I mean, this draft is crazy.
You're going to have the deep NFL draft, too. The one they're talking about historic is also that 27 draft coming up. It says it's going to be like an historic draft for the NFL. So a lot of talent. All right. Thank you, Aloha Traveler. Really appreciate that super chat. Very kind of you. And yes, we are pumped about the men and the women. I mean, hell, it's been a while. So it's the last time both men and the women been this. Assuming, we assume the women are gonna make it at least to the Sweet 16. Yeah.
We need to shout out Madison Booker. 40 points.
40 points.
58. They smashed Phil Knight and Joe Zura's Ducks. Sorry, Joe Z's not here to take up for himself. But Matt got a 40 spot. What, 8 rebounds, 5 assists? Rebounds.
Yeah. Now she bought out.
And the women will play the winner of West Virginia and Kentucky in the Sweet 16 in Fort Worth next week. That game's being played tomorrow. So that's where we're at with the women. But, look, we've talked about it, Rod. There's just not much depth. The depth really falls off in women's basketball. So these first-round games are rarely, close. Texas was expected to blow 2 teams out. They did. Now it gets closer to real in the Sweet 16 because you start to feel the pressure as the number 1, 2, or 3 ranked team. But now it starts to get real in the women's game, in the Sweet 16. This is where it gets real. That's the difference in the men's game. You can get popped anywhere. Siena almost took out Duke as a 116 the other day. You can get popped from anywhere in the men's tournament. The women don't have that type of depth.
Yeah, and different right now situations for the men. I mean, right now, basically, Texas men are playing with found money. Everything right now is for them. It's on top of already, like you have classified, kind of a successful season.
Yes.
Hopefully, they are not looking at it that way, but as the fans, we're looking at it that way. For Vic Schaefer, the expectation is this is the team. This is the team. This is your best team, and you've been building to a crescendo. And this team looks like they are ready to challenge the elite of women's college basketball. It's going to be a hell of a challenge, but
my dream for Vic and the ladies, or they're playing UConn for all the marbles.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the only place you want to be. Is if UConn gets bumped off, okay, not likely, but I think the perfect scenario for Texas women's team this year is if them and UConn are playing for all the marbles. I think, and then you let the chips fall where they may, but I think that would be unbelievable for this Texas program under Vic.
Yep, I love that. All right, thank you for the super chat once again. We appreciate that. It's Justin here with a super chat. Justin, appreciate it. Says, Jerry, how much has Texas high school football and recruiting changed since I graduated in 2008? Starting to feel old. Great show, fellas. Oh, man. You going to throw that out there. You feel old. You know what? Go ahead, Jerry. Take it.
The prep schools and the private schools have really changed Texas high school football for me. That is one thing because, I mean, look, you have 2 or 3 impact players that may go to an IMG, maybe 4 or 5. A couple of them may be young. Go to IMG. Has it changed it that much? Not really, but the issue is to watch in Texas high school football in the future. If there's not a NIL component like there are in other states, we're seeing our basketball kids who are seniors transfer. Trey Johnson did it, went to Link Prep Academy. You're going to start now that David Peavy from Duncanville's at Southeastern Prep in Orlando. You're going to see these guys start to leave the state even more in basketball. That's my only concern for football moving forward. For the game itself, for high school football, we've become so spread football, so spread football in the state. And we have great coaching. We have great booster clubs. We have athletic periods every day. So we are all naturally going to create a few more finished products than some other states from a physical standpoint. But I think the biggest thing is, we are so much spread football now. I think that it's great for quarterbacks in the state. It's great for skill guys in the state. Is it great for linemen, offensive and defensive linemen in this state? Everybody's spinning down on defense. A lot of college coaches find linebacker really hard to evaluate because they don't really play it anymore. It's more big safeties. Yeah. I mean, there's some Bo Barnes guys, but there's not as many as there used to be actually playing true linebackers, growing up as linebackers. So I think that in offensive line, so we're so spread heavy. Are we good enough in the run game on some level? Are we good enough from a physicality and run game if you're going to go play in the Big Ten and play in the SEC? Kelvin Banks, there's guys that are, don't get me wrong, but as a whole, are we just too pass oriented? Are we too spread oriented? Because like when I travel around, like one thing about in Georgia, Rod, there's not as many teams playing spread. There are teams playing spread. That's not as many. The percentage isn't as high. Yeah. So you have a little more physical, rough and tumble football there, the state of Alabama. So that's the difference. That's the one difference I see. And it's not a whole. There's guys, the exceptions to every rule. But that's one of the things I see from high school football, differences.
Yeah.
Chat, you guys go to games too. By the way, Justin Yorba, I still need to DM you. Sorry.
All right. We'll get to some more questions here in a second. Let me real quick. Let's actually thank our sponsor one more time. Thank our friends over at Rogue Shop real quick. We appreciate them. RogueShop.com. Use that discount code on Texas and you'll get a very special discount from our friends over at Rogue Shop. And they ship nationwide. No matter where you are in this great country of ours, Road Shop can get their fantastic products to you. They're bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. They have oils and creams, flour, gummies, and vitamins. So if you're dealing with sleep deprivation or general anxiety, or maybe it's just aches and pains from battling Father Time or from your playing days, check out some of the items over at Road Shop. So many great products that can help you battle and overcome those ailments successfully, and use that discount code on Texas, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. That's our friends over at Road Shop. All right. Before we get back to the questions, let's talk pro day a little bit. You got a pro day coming up on Tuesday for Texas, and we'll talk a little spring football as well. But I'm calling it Ethan Burke Day. Because nobody's got more to prove than Ethan Burke. Now, Jalen Gilbo, I think, is in that conversation, but he did get an invite to the combine. I think it was actually, for most Longhorn fans, a surprise, if not a downright shock, that Ethan Burke didn't get an invite to the combine. And you'd have thought, just looking at a guy who was 6'6", 260, who had started multiple years at Texas, that they'd want to get a better look at him. And he got better. I mean, he had his best year, actually, last year in 2025. That was not the case. He was not one of the privileged few to get invited to the combine. So this day is huge for him. What do you need to see from Ethan Burke, in your opinion, to potentially get himself drafted as someone who wasn't invited to the combine? Which, by the way, that's low odds. You don't get invited to the combine. Usually you're an undrafted guy. He's trying to become one of the few that didn't get invited to the combine, but impresses enough at the pro day to get drafted. What do you need to see from him?
Strength, 5'10", 5 Elcone. I think that bench press number, the strength, because his arms are very long.
They are, which is good.
On the hoof, doesn't look the part like some other guys necessarily. So he's got to be stronger than they think. And I think the short shuttle, the Elcone, I think those are huge for him. I could care less what he runs on a 40. It's the strength, maybe the vertical. Where's his explosive power now? Where can it go? And then I think the change of direction drills are going to be huge for him.
Change direction, maybe the broad jump, big man, explosion stuff, like you said.
Because Rod, you've seen him. He doesn't look like he's
it's not
strong at all.
No, but because even he's not. Yeah, but no, he is. But you can see it on film. I mean, he uses his length really well too. That's why he's blocked a couple of kicks in his time. That's why he's really good. I love this stat. I keep throwing it out there because I don't think Longhorn fans realize it. I went and looked at. They have this stat over at PFF and Pro Football Focus. They call run stop rate. Basically, looking at the amount of times that you were able to make what they call a run stop, basically a win for the defense. And when you were the primary defender, right? They're running right at you. So your run stop rate. So at least 50, I looked at defenders at any level of the defense. So not just D-line. This is defenders, period, with at least 50 snaps. All right. This is run game snaps, basically run defense snaps last season. And he had 20 stops against the run, that's a really good number. And he ended up with 15.3% run stop rate. That was it was tied for the third best, actually, among college football defenders with at least 50 snaps, with Jacob Rodriguez, the all-world linebacker from Texas Tech. He was really good versus the run, actually elite Ashley versus the run. We don't celebrate that because we celebrate sacks and splash plays. So he had I think 7 tackles for loss. So he actually made some big plays in big moments too of games. But as a pass rusher, he didn't take the step that I think even a Barron Sorrell took. Remember Barron Sorrell last year? He became like a really good pass rusher. He didn't take that step. He was still a decent pass rusher. So that's still something that he's got to, achieve as a player. But versus the run, which NFL teams will be looking at because teams are running a lot more now. They're running the football more and they're using more heavier personnel, 12 personnel, 21 personnel, 13 personnel. Look at the Rams. A guy that can just hold up versus the run. He's got to prove he can be an every down guy. This is the change direction stuff. They see he's got good change direction. He's got good explosion. They'll say, he's got the traits to be a decent pass rusher. We can add some moves and make him a decent, and then turn him into an every down guy. But he could still be a situational defender in the league against the run because he's really good. The key to being in the NFL is having something you're really freaking good at, man. Just something you can hang your hat on. Like, this is what I do. I was a man coverage guy. That's what I hung my hat on. I can cover man. I can even play press man. It's like, all right. So I lasted in the league a few years, but you got to have something that you do really well. And I think Ethan Berg versus the run, he was one of the best in college football. We just don't celebrate that enough because we don't talk about it.
He did SEC.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
So, by the way, so for people wondering, somebody asked earlier, are the players back? They have to be back tonight. Practice resumes tomorrow. I think coaches were back in the office on some level today. So they get back going at it. Second week of spring practice tomorrow. It is full pads. So spring starts to get real now, Rod. I think the first couple of practices that we had a chance to peek in on, they're kind of made for media events when we're there.
Yep.
And it was shells, but they had one, I think, padded practice that Friday. Now it starts to get real this week.
Yeah.
So that Friday before spring break. So this is when you're going to start to see separation.
Oh, I love it. And everybody, I think we did the piece, and shout out to Hank South, who's doing a great job for us. He loves the OTF round table kind of debates we throw out there on the website at ontextfootball.com. And he asked, hey, what's on your mind? What do you want to see most or hear about most in the second session of spring football? And I think like three of us mentioned the secondary. I want to say like three. I did. I think you mentioned the secondary as well. I want to say CJ mentioned the secondary that's separation. Jerry Rice can happen obviously at every position, but there's no position where I think it's more important actually right now than the secondary. Where's the separation?
Yeah, because I think my point with that, Rod, was the offensive line. You pretty much have 4 starters right now.
Yeah, you brought in 4.
There's not true competition here or wonderment where guys are going to play. Ciali's going to play right tackle. Baker's playing right guard. Connor Robertson's playing center. We'll see who wins left guard. I'm still in a little wait and see mode on Lawrence Seymour. I know some people just hand him the job. We'll see on that. Missing spring's a big deal. And you got Trevor Gooseby at left tackle. Him being out, it's valuable for Jordan Coleman. But I think there's more solidified there right now. In the secondary, because the safeties are out, injured, Phil Sami, Zealous Hicks is back, Jonah's out, right? I mean, and was already going to be out, but now he's really out, doesn't even get to take part at all. But what are they going to do with Grayson Littleton?
Yeah,
him and Nebraska are obviously going to rotate back and forth. Will Muschamp's learning his personnel. I'd say Cade Phillips has a spot where he's going to put on the field lockdown. I think Jelani McDonald does. But what happens at the other safety spot? What's Muschamp going to do at nickel? What's he going to do at the other corner versus nickel? I think there's more to be kind of play out in the secondary than even on the offensive line.
Yep, I totally agree with you. Yeah, it's just it's a lot of to be determined in that secondary, and like I said, you'll get some of the separation because Muschamp wants a physical secondary, ain't no doubt about that. So you may have turned his head a little bit when, like Jerry's talking about, when they just had shells on and it was more 7-on-7 style. Now they're getting physical. He's gonna like somebody that's gonna come out and bring that hammer. He's one of those dudes.
By the way, Rod, I wanted to say I think Texas is so far. This plays out. I think Texas is pretty pleased where they're at on defensive front through 3 practices. I think I've heard they're pretty happy. Their interior guys, I think there's a feeling they may be able to find the best rotation in the last couple of years for defensive line, where you're not worried when 5 and 6 come in. There's not that big drop off. I think Texas feels pretty situated right now. We'll see if there's injuries or what happens down the line with guys. And then I think at the edge spots, I think Texas is happy with progress there. So I think Texas enters this week pretty happy with where they're at there and see the potential of that group, which I think is as important as anything if you're playing in the SEC and you're playing Ohio State.
Yeah, no, I like the D tackle group. I think it's a lot of upside. We've been waiting on Alex January to pop. You had a great comparison. Like, feels like that Alfred Collins trajectory is like, man, we're kind of waiting on it. And then we saw Alfred Collins look like an early round draft pick his last year at Texas. And Kanu, I don't think we talk enough about a dude. I keep mentioning it because it's still mind blowing. Didn't play his first organized snaps of organized football until 2021.
Yeah.
And he was starting at Texas last year. So that is the upside for that dude is unbelievable. and then you bring in Jafridge. Thank you for the nickname, because we're gonna keep using it. And now you finally got a guy that can play the over the ball, can play zero, can play the one technique. There's just not a lot of those human beings like that, and he's kind of a freak because he actually has for a big man like that, he really does have great endurance. Like, you just don't see big men like that can play a long time. And then you add Justice Terry in the mix. You throw in, hell, Josiah Sharma's another guy that can probably add to it as well.
Yes.
I mean, it's a good group. I think it's got a high upside. I think you might get multiple guys peaking in a season, and that's what you want. That's what you had the last couple of years prior to 2025. But you had 2024, 2023. You had multiple D tackles having their best seasons like their last year. In the rotation. Totally. All right. KD35, I'm the best, with a super chat. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Says, congrats, KD, passing the GOAT MJ for 5th all time. Man, that reminds me of that what you said, Jerry. You was like, when KD, it was announced that he's gonna be a part of the new kind of Nike NIL deal with Texas, and he wants to be more involved now with not only the basketball program, it seems like with the athletic department overall. And you said, he's the most recognizable pro athlete that played at Texas. And I hadn't thought about that, and I was like, he is, because he's been playing for damn 2 decades in the NBA, and we just gotta forget about that. He went to Texas. That's something now they don't talk a lot about, and it seems like now he wants people to talk about it more.
Yeah, he's setting up his next part of his life, clearly. I think he's opening a restaurant in Austin. I think something's being built right now, or is planned to be built. I think he'll spend a lot of time in Austin. But to that point, I mean, look, he's had a top 5 selling shoe multiple years. I don't know if in a row people that know all the sneaker stuff would know that. I don't. But look, I mean, he's a Tavondre Sweat. Why'd you like Texas, Kevin Durant? I mean, look, he carries sport. He co-carries over sports, because Rod, you know this. How many football players love basketball growing up more than football, and they grow out? They don't grow into basketball, and they grow into football, so to speak, right? Yeah. Everybody plays hoops.
Jonah said his first love was basketball. Jonah Williams.
Yeah, everybody knows who KD is. He's been an all-star 18 out of 18 years. Like, he is one of the most popular or known athletes in the United States of America well over a decade now. So I think this is a big deal for Texas, and I think it's great that he was part of that. Chris GB says TJ Ford still deserves a statue, though. Texas has had 2. That's the thing, him and KD.
Interesting.
They won the Wooden and Naismith Award. So that's like the basketball Heismans. Texas actually had 2 basketball players that have won the Heisman since 2003.
Hold on, say that again.
So the Wooden and Naismith Awards are akin to the Heisman in football.
Yeah.
KD and TJ won both of them.
That's right. Oh, yeah. Good point.
TJ's sophomore year and KD's only year at Texas.
Yeah,
we have
you're
2
right.
Heisman winners in basketball.
That's
and
true.
People don't really even know it.
No, they don't talk. Nobody sees it like that, because we're football minded fan base.
Yeah. I mean, we have 2 guys that swept awards.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jerry. I've never heard anybody explain it like that, but I agree with you. Yeah. TJ Ford. TJ Ford getting a statue. I support it. I mean, he was that damn good, but we shall see. Ask CDC about it. CDC will respond to you too. You know that, CB. He'll holler back at you. All right, let's answer some questions, and then we'll end tonight's live stream. Let's answer a few questions here. We'll kind of go rapid fire to try to get all these in. How about this one from Nathan? Says, is Texas going to be the only SEC team in the Sweet 16? Are we talking about men or women? Definitely not men, right? Because men.
Not Florida's now up 3. They've started the rally. Thank goodness.
Arkansas.
Arkansas is in the Sweet 16.
You got Tennessee, right?
Tennessee is in the Sweet 16. You have 3 right now, and Vanderbilt lost on the heartbreaker. Alabama and Texas Tech play tonight. I don't know without Aiden Holloway if Alabama can win that game. And you have Right now, Florida in a nail biter with Iowa. They've now pulled ahead with 5 minutes to go, 65-63 after looking like warmed over poo for most of the game. Ben McCown can really coach basketball, by the way. He's a really good coach. But so it looks like Texas has 3. I think they could get 4. I think they could get 4.
Nice.
And Big Ten has 5.
Okay. How about this one? CB wants to know, Jerry, if Texas beats Purdue, will you eat another corn dog? Don't ask him because he's gonna put mayo on. Don't put mayo on it in the morning. It's bad. That's gonna be good for your digestive system.
If Texas beats Purdue, I absolutely will. The only time I will double fist the corn dogs is if they get to the Final Four.
Why'd you say it like that?
Just
Nobody tried eating corn dogs in that matter. Eating 2 corn dogs in that matter. Except Jerry. Cisco says, how huge is having time to rest after the grind this last week, Jerry?
Really big for Jordan Pope, who had a minor ankle roll. No really update on that. I think they're going to try to get him close to 100% here today, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So they got 4 days to do it. Then the game's an evening game over in early night game, I should say, in Texas. So I think it'll be 6:30ish. Don't write that down for sure, but that's what I'm thinking. 7:30 East Coast time. So those today and the other next 3 days are going to be big for Jordan Pope. But the team, yes. I mean, I think they needed a mental reset after the 3 games in 5 days as much as a physical. Because, I mean, these were total grind games.
Yeah.
NC State, you're up 9, you have some issues. Then you have to hit big shots, big free throws to win that game. BYU, you have to survive the number 1 pick in the draft, hit big shots, big free throws. Matas missed 2 or 3 early when he was tired. Then he got a little nervous probably. So they've had him. And then this game against Gonzaga, the way the game went, the way it ended. I mean, it's a tough, maybe tougher mental stretch than physical. So I think it's good to just reset. I think the good thing about having 4 days before you play Purdue, I think Purdue runs as many actions offensively as anybody in college basketball. And they may not run as many as some teams in the past have because Braden Smith, they have Braden Smith, but they still run a lot of actions. There's a lot to prepare for to play Purdue. So I think it's really good that you're not playing Purdue in a round of 32 game, that you get 4 days off to prepare for Purdue. I think Purdue is really difficult to prepare for because of how good they are on offense and everything they do on the offensive side of the ball in half court. If you have a day to prepare, you like to have 2 or 3 or 4 days to prepare to play a team that's that good offensively. So I think that that lines up better for Texas than if you play them after a day off.
Yeah, good point, Jerry. All right, getting back to it. How about this one from Bandit? He says, where are we on the Marshall Manning recruitment, or is he a Tennessee lock? Yeah, I saw this. I saw some videos of him throwing on social media going around. How old is this kid?
8th grade, I think he is. Look, I'm going to be the first one to say it. Doesn't mean I could easily be wrong. I'm saying this on air, but he doesn't look as talented as Arch the first time we saw Arch. Now, what does that have to do with you're in 8th grade? Nothing at all. Marshall Manning's going to be a really good player. Is he the athlete that Arch was? Arch was always an athletic kid.
He is very athletic.
You go back to his summer before freshman year and his freshman year starting varsity ball at Isidore Newman.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that. The tape will tell you, he's athletic. Like that's
Rod, how about this? How would you like to have the pressure of Marshall Manning? See, they're starting this in 8th grade. They're starting this before Arch got hit by him. Because Peyton is coaching the 7-on team. Marshall Manning, he has to be the first 6-star, else he's going to be an underachiever to everybody. That's what's not fair about this.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, and they know that, though. They know. If anybody's equipped to handle it, it will be the Mannings, the first family of football. Yeah. Thank you for that. All right. CB says, Rod used to call Cinderella Gold Digging Skank. I did. I did refer to these Cinderellas in the tournament as Gold Digging Skanks a couple of times, CB. But now we may end up missing them. I mean, because like I said, it looks like 13, 14, 15, and 16 seeds. Maybe, I mean, the last 2 years they haven't been able to win one of those those games. So we'll see if they're gonna. Maybe we'll change our definition of Cinderella. If Texas now can be considered a Cinderella, which I agree with Jerry, that can never be the case. Thank you for that. Jet here, thank you for this question, says, is this the first time both basketball teams been in the Sweet 16 at the same time? Yeah, Jet, I threw this out there earlier. I was like, how long has it been since both teams have gone this far at the same time?
I find it hard to believe one of those years. I find it hard to believe one of those years Rick was in the Sweet 16 that the Texas women weren't too. I could be wrong on that. Right. Somebody also followed up with how many teams are going to be in the Sweet 16 and men's and women's. Right now, there's 3: Texas, Duke, and Michigan. We'll see if the men's and women's teams are both in the Sweet 16 right now. Texas, Michigan, and Duke. We'll see if anybody else joins the party.
Man, this is how you know your phone's listening to you. I'm not joking, guys. It just came up on my timeline. I swear, I just looked at my phone. I was going to look it up. I was going to Google it. And then I saw this tweet from Danny Davis, says seasons in which Texas men and women both reached the Sweet 16, 1990, 2002, 03, 04, and 2026. Yeah. Guys, your phone is listening to you. I swear. I just opened it up. I just opened up the app after us talking about it here for a while. And then there was the stat. It's convenient as hell, but that's spooky. That's scary. Your phone is listening to you. All right. Thank you for that. So there you go. It's not the first time. Last time it happened was 2004. So Jerry was right.
Hey, Kozer, good call. UConn will be one of them probably.
Well, yeah.
Actually, the winner of that men's game tonight will be one. UConn, UCLA.
Oh, well, that's good too. Yeah. That's good. All right, Jerry, any last comments for the folks out there? Anything that you want to touch on before we end tonight's live stream? And of course, tomorrow, Jerry will be back. So if you missed any of your questions or comments, you can direct them to him at Coffee and Football bright and early tomorrow morning at 8:15 with Bobby Burton. Any closing comments before we get out of here?
Now, spring ball gets going tomorrow. Pro Days Tuesday. Men will play next Thursday. I think the women will play on the 28th, so they'll play on Friday, if my dates are correct there. Is Texas OU in baseball this week? Coming up? Is it Oklahoma, guys? I don't even know. That was a huge road series win for Texas baseball. Softball, 26 games in a row. On the football side, there'll be some recruits. Brock Williams, a 5-star tight end, will be on campus this week for a couple of days official visit. There'll be some other guys trickle through. As y'all can tell, I'm in a Marriott. So when I'm in a Marriott, that means I'm going to see prospects, but we won't tell you where tonight. We'll talk about it.
Oh, yeah. There you go. That's what we call a tease in the business, folks. That's a tease right there. A hell of a tease. All right. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate that. We'll also we'll be covering Pro Day. So if you were, I know some people were asking about who else is participating in Pro Day. We don't really know who's participating beforehand. Cisco said, "Oh, my margarita did not last the whole stream." Yeah, it shouldn't, by the way. Yeah, it means you're having a good time, but we don't necessarily know. Ethan Burke is obviously one of the, I would say, the ones with the most to gain at Pro Day, and he will probably do everything because he didn't have a chance to get invited to the combine. We talked about him. Jalen Gilbo didn't run at the combine, so those two guys are probably going to do the most, but I think either guys like Anthony Hill and Michael Taft, they'll do some of the drills. They'll probably allow their stuff stand from the combine, but they'll do drills, I'm sure, and do some of the other testing because Anthony Hill didn't complete his combine testing too. So there's a chance he could do some of the change of direction drills. But who's going to throw?
Matthew Caldwell.
Matthew Caldwell's going to throw to Jack Andrews. That's going to be nice. You only got one. I mean, you don't have many guys that are coming out as a skill on offense anyway. So it'll be good. So we'll keep you updated because I'm going to Pro Day, and we'll have a lot of the members of OTF be there as well. So we'll give you updates. So if you're worried about Pro Day or you want updates, just keep it tuned here to On Texas Football, ontexasfootball.com. All right. We also will have the Monday night live stream, the primetime live stream of the Winning Drive, myself, Coach, and CJ Vogel. So if you want to ask us about anything or we missed any of your questions, please direct them to us. We'll be starting promptly at 7 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes. He's the real MVP. Nobody does it better. We appreciate him as well. And thanks to our sponsor, Rogue Shop, rogueshop.com. Use that discount code On Texas. Thank you very much for all the super chats, guys. That was great. Aloha Traveler, once again, Really appreciate you. Very kind of you throwing out the super chat. That's how I know you live a good life. So aloha to you as well. For Jerry and for Matthew, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Papers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.